Hey everybody. So this week we had made a batch of yogurt and we let it sit overnight a little bit too long, and we had to make the decision of if we were going to add some whey back into it to keep it as yogurt, or if we were going to continue on in the process to make it cream cheese. So we decided to add some whey back to it because we wanted the yogurt. We were still finishing off a previous batch of cream cheese, but when we did a social media post about it, everybody was asking, how do you make your yogurt into a cream cheese? So today, that's what we're going to start with. If you'd like to see the beginning process on how we actually make the yogurt, you can check out our yogurt video, and that'll get you right up to the step that we're at now. So now that our yogurt is done, we need to make sure we have what we need to get started on our process of making it into cream cheese. So just a couple simple things. I've got a bowl, I've got my regular kitchen strainer, and I've got some cheesecloth and my trusty spoon. So the reason we've got the strainer, the cheesecloth, and the bowl is because the big point on turning this into cream cheese is to drain off as much of the whey in it as we can. So the first thing I want to do, now I double up my cheesecloth because I prefer to have that thickness. It gives good support for it when I pick it up to drain it off, and I know that the whey is going to still drain through without a problem. So I just get the cheesecloth into the strainer, and then we're going to take this was a gallon of milk to start with. So we're going to take this and very carefully and slowly, trying not to spill any of this, we're going to get this all dumped in. Now that gets the majority of it into the bowl, but it always leaves a little in the bottom. So what we're going to do is very carefully with the back of the spoon, because we don't want to scrape off any of the milk solids that are in there. So I'm just going to gently rub what's loose with the back of the spoon. That way I'm not scraping any of the milk solids off. I want to get what we can out of here and into the bowl. So as you can see, it's still pretty liquidy. Now, if I was making this into yogurt, I would still do the same process and drain it for, say, 3 or 4 hours. But it's going to be a lot longer to do it for making it for the cream cheese. So at this point, what we want to do is make sure that this is nice and steady in the bucket. And if I were to very carefully lift this up, let's see if you can see. You can already see the whey's draining right through the bottom. So that's exactly what we want. So we're going to let this drain. And I'm going to put this in the fridge and let this drain for a while. So at this point, it's just a waiting game. And you have some decisions to make when it's done draining. Your thickness, do you want to make this into a whipped cream cheese? Do you want a solid cream cheese? How are you going to use it? You can add flavorings to it or not. You can add salt to it if you want a salted cream cheese, but we'll go into that a little bit more once this process is done. So let me get this into the fridge. We're going to let it sit, and I'll be back to see you in a little bit. So we're back, and it's time to check on where our cream cheese has gotten to so far. And it has been about 3.5 hours. So at this point, we're getting closer to where I would consider it getting near a Greek yogurt style at this point. Definitely not at the cream cheese point yet. So let me hold this up a little bit close. I don't know if you can see, but there's still pockets of whey on the top. The reason that I'm checking it now is, as I said earlier, we want to make sure this doesn't sit in the whey. So it would just keep it wet, and we don't want that. So right now what I'm going to do, and it's still dripping, is lift this off, and I'll show you what we have so far for whey. We're going to drain off what we have at this point. So we have about 4 cups, and that's a good start on getting this all drained off. So at this point, I'm just going to put it right back in the bowl, And tonight before I go to bed, I'm gonna take the cheesecloth, cover the top of it, kind of pull it in a little bit, tighten up the cheesecloth around the cream cheese so that we can have it kind of press some more of that whey out. And I'll also take a plate and put on top with a little bit of weight so it really gives it that push, because we want to take out as much of this whey as we can. So this is a 3-day process. This isn't something that happens overnight. It's not difficult. It's just a waiting game at this point. So now that you've seen where we're at, we're going to let some more whey drain off, and I'll check in with you again tomorrow. So it's been about another 24 hours and we're ready to check and see how much whey we have under our cream cheese. So I took the bowl and the can that I had on top of it to weight the cream cheese down to press out some more of that whey. So I uncovered it. It's been pressed down. You can see there's a, if I bring it up nice and close, there's a lot less whey sitting on top, but this cloth is soaked. So we still have quite a bit. So what we're going to do is drain off what we have and see how much we come up with. Like I said before, this is about a 3-day process. We've only been like 24 hours here, 24 hours before, so another 24 hours we're going to be getting close. But we're up to another 4 cups of whey. So that's 8 cups total that we've drained out, and we're going to continue to drain it. So what I'm going to do is just put this, I'm gonna cover, let me bring up a side here. We're gonna cover the cream cheese with our cheesecloth, and all I do is just fold it in on itself. Just fold it in. I'm just gonna fold down to there. And then I take something that fits inside the strainer. So this Pyrex bowl works perfect for me. So I can push it in, press down, and then to add a little weight, I've got a 1.5 pound can that I'm just putting in on the top. It adds that little extra bit of weight. I'm gonna put this back in the fridge for another 24 hours. We'll check it again tomorrow and see if it's ready or if we need a little more time. And just a quick note, for anybody out there who's thinking they can kind of cheat the system and put the bowl and press down on the cream cheese in that very first time when we dumped it out of the Instapot and put it in to strain for that first set of hours, definitely you don't want to do that. All it's going to do is make the cream cheese spread all over the place. It's going to make a mess. You really have to wait until you've drained off that first big dose of whey, and then it really makes the cream cheese a lot more solid. So just a quick give you, take this back out. I really folded this in. So the cream cheese now, I mean, I showed you before the whey dripping out. So now we still have a nice big ball here, but there's no whey dripping out. It's nice and tight. If you tried this when it was still all wet and squishy, it just makes a mess. So now that we've got that in, I've got it all pressed down, we're gonna get this back in the fridge. So you can't do any real shortcuts with this. You really have to be patient and let it go its time frame. So here we are, day 3, and we have our cream cheese pretty much ready to go. So today what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna drain off the rest of the whey, see how much we ended up with total. We're going to take the cream cheese out of the cheesecloth, get it in a bowl, get it salted and stirred up and ready to go. So let's see how it came out. So let's get this out of the bowl and see what we have. So we're going to take out the weights and the bowl that we used. I'm going to pull this out real quick and see what we have for whey. All right, so it looks like we have about another 1.5 cups. So all told in the draining process, we took off about 9.5 cups of whey total. So that's quite a bit of liquid, which is why it's important not to just let this sit in the bowl. You have to keep going in and checking it to make sure that it's not sitting in the whey. So let's get this going. All right. So now we're going to take our, let me just get this up nice and close so you can see our cream cheese, how it's really solidified. See that? So we're gonna get this in the bowl. Just take it out of the cheesecloth. And it comes out pretty well. It doesn't really stick in there too bad. If it does stick at all, you can just take a spoon and just wipe off any that does stick. I got a little bit here. Take this off, put it in with the rest. And you can rinse the cheesecloth as long as you wash it really, really well. You can use it over and over again. Now there are quicker ways to make cream cheese. They're not going to have all the healthy probiotics that you get from the yogurt making process that we used with this one, but you can make it quicker. Maybe another day I'll show a video like that. But we really like this because it is the best with the probiotics for gut health and keeping you healthy, and you know what's in it, and it's really awesome and it tastes great. So as you can see, the cream cheese has a really good consistency here. So the only thing we have left to do is to add some salt. So you can use a kosher non-iodized salt if you're concerned with the color changing at all. For me, it's not a big deal. I just use regular iodized table salt. So I'm gonna add in about a teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to just blend that together. So we've got the salt all blended in. And at this point, there's a lot of things you can do. You can keep it as just plain cream cheese. If you like a particular flavor of cream cheese, you can add that flavoring. There is quite a bit here. So what we normally do is we put it into a container, and then as we use it, we flavor it. Because we may want to make some strawberry cream cheese for one thing. We may want some everything bagel seasoning cream cheese or cream cheese and chives, or we may decide to take all of this cream cheese and make a cheesecake. So depending what we're going to use it for really determines where we go at this point. But for right now, what we're going to do is just take all of this, put it in a container, and see how much cream cheese we ended up with. So I've zeroed out my scale with the container on it, and I'm going to fill it all the way up with the cream cheese. As you can see, it's pretty thick. It doesn't just fall off the spoon. So let me get this filled, and I'll be back in just a second to tell you how much we ended up with. So we have our container full, and I weighed it, and it comes out to 2 pounds, 13.6 ounces of cream cheese. So if you were to compare that to your typical 8-ounce block of cream cheese that you get at the store, you have just over 5.5 blocks of cream cheese that we just made all on our own from 1 gallon of milk. Now, if you're cost conscious as well as liking to make things on your own, the average price here in the US of cream cheese is about $2 a box for an 8-ounce box. So I spent just under $2.50 for a gallon of whole milk. So doing that math, it's definitely a lot less expensive to do your own cream cheese. You know what's in it. You know it's got those healthy probiotics compared to buying the cream cheese at the store. Again, it tastes amazing, and you can flavor it any way you want. Other than that, I think are good to go. So now that I've got my cream cheese in here, now just for size comparison, I know it's sometimes hard to tell on the camera. This is actually a bread pan, or you can use it as a casserole dish. It's 6 inches across by about 8 inches long by about 3 inches deep. So if you have a pan that size, you can figure out how much cream cheese that is. And I love these containers because they have the snap-on lids. So I'll make sure that I leave a link to these as well. So we've got our cream cheese made. We're all set to go on that. Now it's just deciding what we're going to make out of it. So remember, if you liked our video, to click like, share it with somebody else you think might enjoy it. Remember to subscribe and click the bell if you'd like to see our next video. Comment below on your favorite cream cheese recipes, or if you make cream cheese yourself, how you do it, if it's different than what I make. And remember, you can also, there's a link if you want to buy me a cup of coffee or give me a little time off to help me make some more videos. And I can't wait to see you again next time. Bye, guys.